Subscribe to Lifelines, our 3 times a week Liberty paper at $5 for 6 months or $9 a year from Lifeline, Dallas, Texas 75206. While the attack on our foundation principles and our basic forms of government in the United States is widespread, American citizens who are foes of our traditional freedoms are divided into a series of expert blocs. There are those whose first devotion is to enshrining the United Nations as a holy and infallible institution through which to build a one-world government. Thus, such old-fashioned... And I've often said, and I believe this sincerely, the world is not ready for a second Melvin Munn. One is enough. And city governments are considered totally useless for the future of mankind. The radio program, Jim, is primarily designed to bring repeated information on traditional values, a conservative or constructive view of current events, to keep people apprised of the basic things of this country which have in the past been considered to be extremely valuable to us.
Lifeline is most commonly referred to as H.L. Hunt's Lifeline, with Munn generally assumed to be the billionaire right-winger's on-the-air alter ego. Munn doesn't like being called H.L. Hunt's boy.
Mr. H.L. Hunt doesn't own Lifeline because nobody does. It is his pet project in this respect. His firms are the heaviest advertisers we have, but not the only ones. We have many others, over 200 of it.
Well, does he ever buzz you on the phone and call you on the carpet about something you've said that he happens to disagree with, or does he try to lord over you in that way?
Strangely enough, never in over 3,000 broadcasts has he ever called up to complain or to bawl me out or anything of that sort, which any substantial advertiser may feel he has the right to do, but Mr. Hunt doesn't do that. I believe what I'm saying on the air, I wouldn't say it, fired or not. And nobody actually controls or censors my material.
Whatever the fine print of the financial arrangements is, most feel Lifeline would have had trouble staying on the air over the years without the heavy advertising revenues from Hunt's HLH products. And while Munn may not be H.L. Hunt's boy, a quick listen to his commentary on any given day will tell you that he and Hunt are on the same philosophical wavelength. About 75% of my personal time is spent in researching and studying what might be identified as liberal material, on the basis that I stay pretty well informed because of interests in the conservative or constructive thought. And so I have an obligation, I think, to know what I'm talking about when I discuss the possible things in the liberal side. But further than that, every experience, every interview, everybody I meet, I'm never not working. I even think sometimes I must dream scripts because I wake up in the morning with an idea. They're not really hard to come by, but that's the answer. It's a universal research thing. You dig, certainly, for the things that are factual, but every experience of life could wind up possibly somewhere within a script. Munn cranks out 5 or 6 sermon-like commentaries a week, dictating them off the top of his head. His rhetorical repertoire is predictable. Anti-communism, anti-liberalism, anti-big federal government, anti-new morality, all sprinkled with a dash of the Holy Scripture and the Protestant ethic.
The Warren Supreme Court, with which courts and people who are concerned about pornography and obscenity had a great deal of difficulty. That was a phrase which said that anything that was ruled to be legally obscene had to be proven to be totally without, quote, redeeming social value, unquote.
But Lifeline is more than just a daily dose of mom, apple pie, and the girl next door. Munn regards his work as serious journalism, and moreover, as a sort of alternative or underground media of the right.
Essentially, national journalism today, represented by the major commercial television networks in our judgment, the wire services, the national news magazines, and many of the major metropolitan newspapers, and of course it's been said so many times it's trite, but the bellwether sheep do seem to be the New York Times and the Washington Post, have for years dwelt upon what is generally conceded to be a liberal interpretation, if not slant, of living news. And of course there's the thing called image, the Lifeline image. You're trying always, as any good institution does, to project a realistic image, if not necessarily a pleasant one to everybody that hears you. And that's difficult because of name labels, one of our toughest problems, I think. We were for some time listed as right-wing extremists in most general publications, and that list usually included Dr. Carl McIntyre, Billy James Hargis, the Minutemen, Ku Klux Klan, the John Birch Society, Lifeline, etc. And without no kind of criticism of any of those people, it's just simply a fact of life that Lifeline is a separate, independent entity, is in no way bound to any other organization, commercial or otherwise. We have no ties with anybody else.
Munn is more than a journalist and a philosopher. Those who turn him in regularly know there's a touch of the evangelist in him, too.
The same is true of Ingenue, another subject discussed on Freedom Talks. Here is a fashion magazine for girls in the 12 to 19 age group, with a circulation of 900,000 copies. Their April 17, 1973 issue carried the article, "After the First Kiss, Where Do You Go?" They gave explicit and detailed instructions on petting, and this was not puppy love or innocent petting. This was, as the title suggests, a blueprint for going all the way. Concerned citizens should write their valid complaints to such publications. Among the good things that have happened to this country in recent years, the U.S. Supreme Court's decision against unbridled pornography and obscenity ranks at the very top. This is Freedom Talk number 99, and you may order printed copies at the rate of 2 for 25 cents from Lifeline, Dallas, Texas 75206. I'll be back after this message from our Lifeline sponsor.